one thing that in my career never led me was the money. And I think that's why I've been able to have this success I've had. If you want it, you got to get it. And you got to do what's necessary, to get to that point. It just doesn't happen because you want it. You got to go through the highs and the lows. And I still deal with that today. I like it that people think about, hey, your luxury, because obviously everyone wants to be in the luxury market.
100%.
But I'll tell you, the bread and butter comes from everything else.
What's poppin', everybody? Nicky over here, and I'm really, really pumped up to be sitting with the GOAT, Mark Salerno. This gentleman has an awesome reputation in not only the luxury real estate market, but he'll take a look at any project all across the board and want to take it on. And his very unique ways of marketing his brand and his team and what they got going on is always so special, and they're always leading and setting the bar higher and higher and higher. And not only does he kick butt in the real estate space, but he's a really badass dad to 2 beautiful daughters. He's an amazing husband. He cold tubs like a savage for over 3 minutes at a time, and he's only missed 15 days in the last year and a half, and so many other great things that I got to learn about this gentleman today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate it.
So talk to us a little bit about how one gets into the luxury real estate market and really niches down in that space and becomes the expert in it all across the board, because you've done an amazing job with that.
I never really thought about saying, I want to jump into luxury. Yeah, it was a thought as obviously, you go further in the business. Yeah. But we deal with everything, Nick, from day one. I was never the type of guy to say, no, I'm not doing that because it's not worth my time.
Right.
So we always, worked on, whether it was a lease or, a property out 3 hours away. When I first started my business, bro, I was driving like 3.5 hours to do a $140,000 deal. So it's about building, I guess, your reputation first and the framework from the ground up. And then obviously when it comes along to try to jump into luxury, you got to make a concerted effort to try and do that. And I want to say listen, $1 million used to be $1 million. Nowadays, and that's kind of where the luxury threshold was, 10 years ago, $1 million and up. Okay. And I think one of the first luxury products I sold, it was here in Woodbridge, and it was a referral that I actually got. And from kind of there, it's right when I transitioned my brand into Euromart. So I was at Royal LePage for my first 3 years. My father had the company's Euromart Realty, and I rebranded it back to the residential sector. And I think from there is where it kind of changed and kind of allowed me to go into that luxury market, because I was able to do all the branding myself. And I was wearing every hat in the brokerage at that point, from being the secretary to the bookmaker to just everything as part of it. And that, I think, really allowed me to kind of grasp, say, you know what? Let's go for the luxury. We have our way of doing it now, starting off with the color booklets in 2008, 2009, when people were saying, why are you wasting $12 a booklet on these houses? But, I think that's kind of how it broke in. Yeah. Kind of having the free reign to get into it. Right. So I think that was a big part of getting into the luxury sector. And then it just kind of went from there. But still to this day, we service everything. And I like it that people think about, hey, your luxury, because obviously everyone wants to be in the luxury market. 100%. But I'll tell you, the bread and butter comes from everything else, right? And we get a lot of people who are scared to approach us to say, well, I know you only do luxury, but would you sell our townhouse? Of course we would sell your townhouse. Right. Again, we're in real estate. We will service across the board. And again, it's a lot of it obviously has to do with, being on the same team as these people and kind of having the same mindset to do the job. But yeah, no, look, I love the fact that people think that we're all about luxury, but we're not. Right. But we know how to handle it. Yeah. I don't want to get that crossed up either, but we definitely know what we're doing when it comes to it. Yeah. No, it's hard not to think of your name, not to think of your brand when the word luxury comes up. So that's awesome that you were able to build that, right? And so many other realtors that I talk to, when they talk about like niching down and becoming the expert in one space, they'll say the same things too. It's like, hey, I'll do it all though. Yeah,
right?
like, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. And what do you do to be like such a cool leader and maintain such a high level team that, believes in the brand and believes in what you've achieved and what you continue to move forward to?
It's been tough. Yeah. Like I'll say that for starters, right? Because again, like when I started off my career, I started off at a big brand. I was at Royal LePage. And then kind of when I had to transition over into a independent, which was, again, a family-owned brokerage that really from the mid-'80s on was just a business card. It was my dad who was selling land, so it really wasn't on the radar of people,
right,
with the exception of his kind of, niche people that he would deal with, the builders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And when I made that transition over, I don't want to say till this day, but up until like a handful of years ago, even after we've proven success, still it was difficult because people would try and bring you down. I'll be honest, and I go into, especially with the rise of like social media, I like to think we were one of the first people in the real estate sector to really kind of like dive into it and like go all in on marketing through social media. And there was times where I had other competitors, if you want to call it. At the end of the day, I don't really feel there's enough business for everybody to go around. So I don't really think about it as competition. But people would say, well, that's a small brokerage. They don't have offices all over the world. How can they service you? How are they going to be able to bring in, buyers when they have a small network? And then that's when social media came in. And like I said, went all in on that. And Nick, people used to make fun of me about that. Like, oh, he's trying to sell houses on social media. And now you see like
80, 90-year-olds with that. Yeah.
I'd like to think so, right? Like, it's one of, but again, like I pushed hard for it when it, I don't want to say I've scaled back now, but it was an interesting time, put it that way. That whole transition into social media, and like it went back to when I first got into the business, like, Facebook. Like I was 22 years old, back in the day, bro, what were we doing? Everybody was going out, posting their albums on Facebook from the clubs and, right? That's what it was. Parties, that's what it was. And I was like dropping albums of houses. And they're like, why are you posting houses on Facebook? I'm like, because it's free and it's can get in front of people. It's like, that's the original OG of all my social media was Facebook. And I'll never forget those days. I still got those albums from like 06, 07, like tucked away on my Facebook. But yeah, it's been a fun ride and I really enjoyed it and really love the community of people like that have kind of rallied around us. And I thank everybody for that kind of support that we got, right?
Yeah. And you're still like very young and you have like a really good name and big reputation.
I thought you were going to say I'm really young and I got a lot of grays. No. That's what I thought you were going to say. I'm 38 years old.
Yeah.
Turning 39 in January.
That's young. That's young.
Yeah. Like, I think I'm young, bro. I feel like I'm 16 still, man.
Yeah.
Don't let the grays deceive you on it. But yeah, it's
because you've been at it for a while. Like it runs through your blood, right? Like you could tell, like you're a wealth of knowledge. You'd think that you'd be in your 50s or 60s, knowing what you know, running what you're running. You're 38.
And some people do, bro. Some people like this guy's been around forever. He's like got to be like in his late 40s, early 50s, and I'm like, shit, man.
Yeah,
got to take care of myself better, I guess. I don't want to.
It's not the physical aspect of it. You're really disciplined in what you're doing there. We were talking about a little bit before the cameras come on, right? It's not nothing to do with that. It's just the amount of like knowledge that you have, bro, and like how people are trusting you.
Like I put a lot of time, and I say it, over and over again when I talk to people. Like I've sacrificed a lot in this business. I really, really, really have because I took it really serious. Like for me, when somebody gives me that opportunity to work for them, like I take that for real. This is not a joke. And what I've noticed, and it kind of like I feel like I'm an old soul. And again, like I'm talking 38, but like what I've noticed over the last 3-4 years, especially with the whole social media aspect of it, people are kind of not taking this business as serious as they should. And especially when the market's hot, bro, anybody can sell, right?
Yeah.
Put up a sign, as long as you get the listing, you're selling. But when the tough times come, and like now being in the business for 18 years, I've seen roller coasters. I've seen the good times. I've seen some bad times. And I just think that the business as a whole needs to maybe get a little bit more serious and a little bit more professional. There's nothing wrong with having fun, bro. I like to have fun. But I just think the business is kind of losing its way. And there's always going to be that, that reputation of a realtor, right? But I just think that overall as a business sense, we need to clamp down a little bit more.
Yeah.
Overall, as an industry.
Yeah. And I feel like to tie into that point, a lot of it has to do with its trending in pop culture, right? With shows like Selling Sunset and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, but to understand these people's backgrounds and their real estate background and how, they've made an impression on the youth and the demographic, and it to be like, this is cool, it's glamorous. It's like forgetting about the business aspect of it and the art of real estate more so. This is cool. Well, I get it. Yeah.
Look, and again, like there's a lot of people that I look up to, and I'm not really a big buff on watching these shows. I'll be honest. Like, one of the people I looked at earlier in my career was Ryan Serhant. I remember in
Right.
2017, I went to his thing in New York, sat, front row to his, he did like a VIP day for everybody. And that was a great experience for me. I'll be honest, like being able to see him speak, because this is actually somebody who sells though.
Yeah.
And like, this is the difference. Nowadays, you see, like you talk selling Sunset. And I remember watching a video over the last 6 months that they started listing like who's actually selling stuff. They're on TV.
Yeah.
They're showing that they're selling stuff, but like then they start running through the characters. I call them characters or actors, or whatever you want to call them. And like, with the exception of like the two big bosses, no one's really selling anything. They got $2 million of volume in a calendar year, $6 million of volume in a calendar year. And it's like, people are looking up to these people as real estate. You get what I'm trying to say? And that's where the whole thing of social media, where it gets lost. People are trying to focus on the show, and there's not much go. And that's where I see that stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why I do appreciate when I see the actual ones who are actually out there, like,
working
putting it down and and getting it done. And I just think, again, like the direction of where things are going, it's tough sometimes to look at, man. Like, I'll be honest. It really is, because like, I really, like, this is a family thing. Like, my dad was in the business from the 60s, and I because I feel like I've given so much to this business.
Yeah.
If there's anything I can do to help someone, I would love to. And that's like, it's just in my nature to do so. But I think, again, things have kind of lost their way a little bit. I think it's just in life in general. Like, it doesn't have to just be real estate related. It's just because it's simple to be able to post something up, make something look a certain way, but not really be that way.
Lots of smoke. We
there's a lot of smoke
use
and mirrors,
the
man.
analogy here where it's like the visibility and ability. Like, because as much smoke as we blow on the socials and what we do, we're always conscious about, okay, how good were we on our last deal?
Yes.
How beefed up is the underwriting department? The craft of getting a mortgage to the finish line. Are we better at that than we are blowing smoke? Okay, good. Let's keep blowing smoke.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think, like, you're putting up big numbers. The boys that are doing the work, the girls that are doing the work too, they're putting up big numbers. So the smoke that's being blown, I think it's more like it's understood throughout the industry, and it's one trying to, up the next.
Yeah.
But the people that are actually trusting the individual to sell this big asset of theirs, they're seeing it the way you're seeing it, and they're going to the OGs being like, you're a good realtor. I don't care about the smoke on the socials, right?
Absolutely. But again, like, when you start talking about regulations and stuff like that in our business, we have the Real Estate Council of Ontario, which is RICO. And like, there's certain things and limitations that I do think that they should enforce more, because, you look online, it's very easy for somebody to go up on their profile and say number one or whatever the case may be. And really, at the end of the day, that may be enticing someone to give them business, but really, where's the backing for it? It's easy. I can go online and say I sold $500 million. Where's the proof?
Right.
And I'll be honest, like, I see it a lot, and we have access. As a broker, I buy into a program where I can actually see everybody's posted sales on MLS, so you can actually see who's actually selling or not. And they use it as a recruiting tool. I use it just simply to know where we're at, because I like tracking our stuff. And once I heard I can track my stuff, I'm like, I'm down. But most broker owners or managers use that tool to recruit, because they want to see who's selling, and then all their information, they'll call them up. Hey, you want to come work for us? We do things a little bit differently. We're a small brokerage. I only have a handful of agents who work for me. We get a lot of people who actually want to come work for us, but that's just not my gig. I'm not, the manager per se. I like to sell. That's what I do. But, you see people out there saying, oh, I did 72 deals last year. And I'm like, oh, wow, this person's doing well. 2 deals. So like, again, it's misleading the public. And that's where you got to there's a fine line on, trying to get business a certain way and actually, telling the truth about what you're doing. Because it's if I could lie to you about what I'm doing in my sales department, try and get your business, how would that make you feel if you found out that really wasn't the truth? As a consumer who's potentially trying to hire me, I'm trying to hire you because I think you're the best. That's why I want to hire you, right? So again, it's a kind of a weird situation that things are going through. But again, like, there's a lot of great people in this business who are doing great things, and I love seeing a lot of the creativity people are putting into it, because that's what you want to see. It's not just list on MLS and sell. What are you doing extra to be able to bring eyes to your clients' property? Because really, before it was, what are you doing? Magazines? Because that's all it was before social media. Magazines, newspapers. If you weren't spending money there, how are you advertising my home? Right. So it's nice to see some of the good work that people are doing, for sure, too.
And to sort of go back into that, we noticed too that you were one of the OGs when it came to like the house tour and speaking. in some Be Real when the Be Real was happening, and you're talking, you're like, hey, come in, like at the front of the driveway. And now like that trend caught up and everyone's on it, right? But again, to understand who was at the forefront of that, right? And like, where do you come up with these, even like today, you know, like you walking in, it's a really cool branded basketball, right? And like, so, or you were talking about doing that high level colored print back, you know, in 08 or 09. And that's what captured a little bit of the luxury, and then you ran with it. Where do you come up with these creative ideas, and like how do you start setting these trends that you are? And then everyone's like, yo, if Salerno's doing it, like we've got to get on that.
Look,
right?
I always ask myself the question, Nick, what more can I do? That's really what it comes down to, because, you know, even today, man, I feel like we're always hitting plateaus, and we're always hitting, you know, I don't want to call them dead ends, but like the point where it becomes what else? And the second you stop asking yourself what else, you're stuck, bro, and your tires spin, and then you're in the same spot. So like, you know, as the transition into video became something online, because like, you know, it probably happened in like 15, 16, 17-ish, where the video became a big deal before Instagram was like, you know, photos. When I saw it, I said, well, why not? Can we do this? And it started with just outside the house. Hey, it's Mark. Come on in. Then it became, hey, why don't I just start showcasing this like they do on TV? Right? So then that became a transition, but it takes time. Like, and when I say it takes time, it's, you know, typically you hire a photographer, they go to a property, they shoot it for you, wait for your photos and video to come back, and you post it. When you do that, bro, it's you know, could turn into a 4, 5, 6 hour process, depending on how big the property is, depending on how many takes it does. At the beginning, man, it was like 20 takes. Now it's like I can go in off the cuff, you know, most times one time. The photographers appreciate that, I'll be honest, for the editing. But like, it just becomes a natural thing after. And like, I saw it worked. That was the thing. So once you do something once, you see it works. And it's like, you know, at the beginning of it, I don't want to say the beginning of Instagram, but when Instagram used to be a lot more viral at the beginning, because when we were doing the real estate shoots, drone shots, and I always say this, you know, I bought a drone back in 2016, I think it was, or 17, and I at the time I had like 4 or 5K followers. I put up a post of a drone, and this thing went viral. And at the time I was like, oh my God, this thing got like 4,000 likes. I'm like, this is crazy. So what did I start doing? Every single listing, drone shot, specific angle, because I knew the gram loved it. I used to call it the latte, because the latte, it works, right? I always stuck to what works and adapting as you kind of, you know, progress things along to, you know, what's next. And that's kind of where we're at today.
Nice. Hey guys, just want to remind you to hit the subscribe button if you really like all the content that you're taking in. And please do engage, and in the comment bar, let us know what questions you'd like us to ask in the future, and guests that you'd like us to bring on. We'll reach out to them, and we'll give it our best shot to make it happen. So what's up and coming? What's the trend? What are you gonna? I don't know, Nick.
Honestly, bro, I got a lot of ideas, to be honest with you. But then I don't know what it is, but I don't want to say I question myself, but I just say to myself, do I need to do this?
Right.
Like, I'll be honest, last week I got called from a TV production company to say, we saw one of your listings up in Cottage Country. We have a lakefront TV show, basically, that airs in Canada. I forgot what the name of it, but it's like a lakefront cottage luxury. And in the States, it goes on A&E. I didn't commit to it. Get what I'm trying to say? Like, I've always wanted to do that. Like, it's weird, but then like, kind of last second, I'm like, you know what?
You didn't align with it. Yeah, you didn't align with it. You're already crushing it. You're doing a lot of sales.
But it's not because Nick, I want to do it. It's weird. That's what I'm saying. Like the mental side, it's like, but why didn't you do it then? Right. So like, again, like, we'll see if it's going to kind of transpire over the next day or so. I think maybe I got to make a decision, but like, there's weird stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, these opportunities come up, and it's about whether you want to do it or not. And it becomes, at what point do you become content? At what point, you know, if you asked me 6, 7 years ago, all I cared about, I want to be number one.
Right.
That's all it was. Like, I need to get to number one. I want to be number one. And in order to get to like the top of the mountain, when I say number one, is like, you know, we achieved it in Vaughan. You need the manpower for it as a team. You can't do it as a 1-person soldier or as a 5-person soldier, because these these teams that are really doing these big numbers, they got 50, 60, 100
Sure.
people. They're brokerages, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of realized that's not where I want to go at this point in my career. Maybe in 10 years from now, if I want to sit back and become a recruiter,
Yeah.
maybe we'll do it at that point. But like, we've been very happy. I'm very content. I'm very blessed with A, the opportunities that I get, B, the people that I work with. And where we've been at, we're just happy, and like now I look, bro, I got 2 kids. I got a 6 and a 9-year-old, 2 girls, a beautiful wife. And like, a lot of people say Mark the realtor, but like, bro, I'm Mark the family man. I'm Mark the guy that likes to play Call of Duty at nighttime with my buddies. And like, I'm a real guy at the end of the day. And it's like, it's like that fine line when you have this, I don't want to say persona online, but people know me as Salerno Real Estate. You're the real estate guy, right?
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing, but it's hit and miss.
Yeah,
I guess.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And we were talking again a little bit before the cameras came on. We were talking about how you fired me and one of my partners up on the fasting tip.
Yeah.
I see you cold tubbing every morning. So like, I know like that work-life balance. We talk about it a lot all the time. The high performers and achievers. Yeah. What is it that you got going on your regular routine that keeps you sharp?
It's the cold plunging. And like, it's weird because I started it back in February. Now we're filming this, it's October. And like, I've maybe missed 10, 15 days, simply whether it was travel or whatever the case may be. But it's kind of like, when everything's hectic and everything's going on, when I step into that tub and I just sit there, I do some of my best reflecting when I'm in the tub. I'll be honest. Like,
you get
it's
into
weird.
the thoughts.
Yeah.
It's
It's like, it's like, I'll just sitting there and then like, before you know it, the 3.5 minutes is done because you're just thinking about stuff. And like, it's cool. It's really helped me mentally, like kind of just relax. And I think it's something I'm really grateful for. And I just, whoever I talk to, a lot of people think you're crazy that have never done it before, but the people who have tried it, I take a liking to it. And when you add it into your daily routine, it's kind of there now for me. And I just don't think I'll ever stop it. As weird as that sounds. Yeah.
Idols, mentors, inspirational people that you follow, that you listen to their words as gospel. I know a lot of people look up to you like that, but who are your guys? I see you like the ball too, and some.
Look, whether it sounds weird or not, bro, my dad, man, like he just played such a big role in my life, and it sucks that like I only got 26 years with the guy because he was just like this, just amazing person that like, and as a businessman, bro, this guy didn't go to school. He was out of school like in grade 5. So like the fact that he was able to build a bit, bro, old school. That's why I feel like I'm an old school, bro, old soul. When people talk to me, bro, I feel like I'm a 65-year-old, bro. Like, I feel like that's where I'm at. But like he was truly that guy for me, and I still have conversations with him in my head, and like he's a very big part of my life, even though he's not here. And like that was like, if you say who's my number one, that's my number one, and always will be. And yeah, man, it's been a big thing when it comes to business. Obviously, I've read books in the past and stuff like that, and you try and, emulate, but with your own spin, successful people. Like that's what it comes down to, because they've got there for some reason. Like listen, you got to have luck in this life, but you also got to get it. And like the problem today is a lot of people feel like, I want it now. There's no grind anymore. Like you got to. There's got to be that grind, and you can't teach hunger. You can't teach that. And you can't, man. It's either you got it or you don't.
Yeah, it's so true.
Like it's very simple. There's no fine lines. I get a lot of people that come up to me, Mark, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and it's like, so why aren't you doing it? Like I can't hold your hand to do it. Like I can give you opportunities and put it in front of you, but like you see who's got it, who doesn't, and like you want to rally behind the ones that you see like are willing to put that grind in, because that's what I did, man. Like again, I felt like I put a lot of sacrifice into this business, Nick.
Yeah. And so you 18 years now that you've been in it. So a lot of the other people that are really kicking butt in the industry, like I'll do a little bit of research on them. It's like where do they stem from? Where did they come from? What was their background? What industry were they in before? But you've always been real estate, from what I understand, for the most part. Right?
I started. I wrote my first exam at 18.
Yeah.
Failed miserably because I didn't study. I think I got 37%. That was like a real rude awakening for me, and I knew I always wanted to do it. Like I've always been a quote unquote entrepreneur, man. Like I just It's always been in that, whether, I had a landscaping company, when I was 17. Okay. Like I did a lot of things. Okay. I had a lot of jobs, whether it was my first job working at Dairy Queen or, I just always wanted to work. I always in my mind, Nick, wanted to be successful. I always, you know, whatever I did, whether it was, you know, playing sports, because I was a big sports guy back in the day, I wanted to be the best, and I wanted to be the best for myself, right? So
Right.
it was weird. Like, you know, the other day I was flipping through, like with my daughters, they wanted to see yearbooks. So we're in the basement. I saw these yearbooks. We pulled them out, and my daughter said, "What's this?" It was my elementary school, like, you know, your agendas. I used to mark my points when I was playing basketball, bro, and I used to rip it up, dude. It was wild, and I was like looking at this stuff, and I was like, this guy's in grade 8 was marking his points, 50-point game, ba-beam, ba-boom. And I was like, why? Because, bro, I just wanted it. I wanted it. You know, and it's like, if you want it, you got to get it. And you got to do what's necessary, you know, to get to that point. It just doesn't happen because you want it. You got to go through the highs and the lows. And I still deal with that today. There's highs and lows all the time. And anybody who's going to sit there and pretend everything's perfect, it's not, man. There's days I don't want to get out of bed, but I do it because, you know what, you got to do it. And you got to snap out of it. It's like, the one thing I really, because I write in the, you know, that 5-minute journal. Okay? I've been taking that really seriously, and I write in every day. And one of the things that I write in there, all, you know, when it says the top 3 things you're thankful for, what you're grateful for. One of the things I write there every single time, waking up. Because I think we take that for granted. We really do. Like, everyone assumes you get to wake up tomorrow. Tomorrow's not promised for anybody. And that's one of the things that I really am so grateful for, is just being alive. I want to live till I'm 100, Nick, but I'm a realistic person, you know, but it's just, that's one thing that I really kind of like, the appreciation for life, I guess. You know, I've lost close people to me, so it's like, it's important to understand that and appreciate the people around you, and just try and live a good life, man. That's all you can do, and be good to people, because there's no benefit to being bad to people or negative towards people. Like, it's just kind of like my mantra of what I've gotten into now, and it's made me a happier person.
That's awesome, bro. That's awesome. And like that work ethic, right? Like, do you think it stems from like the cultural background, like with Pops being new to the country and it being like go, or it coming from almost like fear or scarcity that you had to go so hard, and then that him being like a hero for you and it rubbing off, because you're a fucking savage. And I'm sure he was too.
He was, bro. And like, you know, when I think back to my dad, I just remember always, he was either in a suit and tie, old school days, the suit and tie, like, look, you know, we're here, we're a little more chilled out. Or he was in his sweats at night, just sitting on the couch and watching Jeopardy. You know what I mean? So like, seeing the success that he had, I just wanted it. I wanted it. Like, you know, like, why not? Why can't I? And my parents always instilled in me, saying, whatever you want in life, you can have, as long as you go for it, you try, and you put everything you have into it. There's no reason why you can't have it. So like, this has always been a mentality that's been instilled in me from when I was a kid, and I kind of just took that through life in general. Right?
Yeah. And so you got that shut off valve from the sounds of it, right? I see you like the cottaging too. You go fishing.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You kick back, right?
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. But I didn't have that before, Nick.
Okay.
And like, that's why I say, like, I want to be able to enjoy my life. You know, like yesterday, it was, you know, I was up at the cottage with my family. They came up for the one day. We went up for, you know, for Sunday afternoon, just to go up. And my daughter's like, Dad, let's go on the boat. And I'm like, you know, she loves fishing, so we're on the dock. And I'm like, oh, to uncover it and have to cover it back. I'm like, but like, when, like, these opportunities, bro, they're priceless. And we're just sitting on the boat, me and my youngest daughter, chatting it up, and just like, you know, just those moments. Nothing beats it. Nothing. I don't care about the biggest commission check. That moment is worth everything. And you know, kind of talking about like money and stuff. One thing that in my career never led me was the money, and I think that's why I've been able to have this success I've had. I've said it on other podcasts, Nick. There was times in my career, we're talking like 5-year periods, where like someone said, "Well, how much did you make last year?" I don't know. You got to ask my accountant. I wouldn't focus on it, Nick. I truth it. It sounds really stupid as a business person. Like, people say, you're an idiot that you didn't. But listen, as long as my bills were paid, I was having fun doing what I was doing. Like, you can't focus on the dollar. When you focus on the dollar, you lose you know, everything that kind of goes into how you got that dollar, really, at the end of the day. And I think that's an important thing that people need to really look at before anything.
Yeah,
you know, the money will come.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and Jay Shetty said that. He's like, I didn't get into this to make money. He goes, I got into it to give back, to be present, to try to get the most out of it for myself. He's like, and it just kind of escalated and really had that snowball effect. Because you go into it with that passion, being present, right?
Yeah, and I had someone earlier in my career this would have been, let's go back maybe about 4 or 5 years into my career. And, like this, again, this is when a mill was a mill. And I once had somebody say to me, and that's when it really triggered me off. And we did a deal on the buying side, got a great property for them, had the condo for sale after, didn't have the success on the condo because kind of wasn't taking the direction where I was leading with it. And ultimately he said to me, he goes, well, don't worry about it. You picked up a nice $33,000 check on the buy side of it, like to like throw it in my face. And I kind of sat back and I read that email and I was like, no one will ever talk to me in that way to throw money in my face. Cause I told him, I said, I'll get that commission check and I'll burn it right now if I ever have to hear somebody like talk to me like that when I've done my job and, to try and bring me down to make me feel that way. So like, again, like that was one of the first things in my career. And again, it was about 4 or 5 years into my career when that happened, and that I just kind of like, Nick, I want to do things because I'm trying to do better for someone.
Yeah.
Like if I can grind to get you an extra $5,000, for me, that doesn't make a difference. What do I make? An extra couple $100? But for you, $5,000 is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like people lose concept of that. And I think it just comes down to doing it because you actually care. The care part of any job that you're in is such an undervalued thing that you need to have for your business. It's simple. The care, the trust for the people you're working for, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah,
for sure.
man.
Yeah. And they feel that, man. They can understand that you're genuinely trying to do that, and then that's where it just spins out of control in a good way, where they're just like, "Bro, this guy's the GOAT." You know,
Nick,
what I mean?
when it comes, the thing is, video exposes people, good and bad. I could post a picture of myself, and people could judge a picture by however they want to interpret a picture. But when you put up a video and you're speaking, people can tell by the look in your eyes. And I loved it the other day when I put up that post saying, I've been out of the gym for 3 months and like I'm trying to get back into it. Like one guy wrote in it on my post, and I looked at it, I was like, bang on. He goes, you can tell by the look in his eyes that he genuinely wants this. And like, that's why I like video. I think video is such a powerful tool because you could really understand who somebody is. Like I'll go to somebody's house and be like, I feel like I know you, Mark, because they watch a lot of videos and me speaking, right? And I like to think that like what you see online is what you're going to get in this chair today. And I hope you feel the same way about 100%. Me. And, and like, that's just who I am, because when you're not trying to put a front on, it's very easy to just be you. And then people see that. Yeah. It's either they like you or they don't at that point. Cause like everybody, not everyone's going to like you, and you can't expect everybody to like you. Right. Yeah. I just think, again, do what you have to do that makes yourself first happy, because you need to first be happy with yourself before you can make others happy, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's such a good point with the video too. Even when we dabbed up at the front today, we're like, nice to meet formally, but it's like I feel like
that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like I know you. We've never met before. We've never physically like, hey, Nick, nice to meet you until today. But I feel like I know you because of video, right?
Yeah, so it's so true.
Again, like I think for me, Nick, like to kind of end things off, is I just think people in general need to be better towards others and really be cognizant about what you're doing for other people, because it's not a secret. It's tough. We're living in a tough world right now. Like it really is. And I think any opportunity that you can get to, help somebody out, I think will go a long way. And not because you're trying to do it for business or for whatever the case may be, but just for the sake of like having everybody around you better. Yeah. And I think it's important, and and everyone always talks about transparency and putting it out there, but like it's one thing to say and it's one thing to do. Mm-hmm. I just think it's important for people to put that extra care into what they're doing in life, whether it's in work or family or relationships, whatever it is. Just do it with your heart, because I think if you do it with your heart, man, everything else just flows nicely, and it just makes a better place, not only for you but for everybody around you. And it just, man, it's what I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Appreciate you having me on today.
Yeah, man, no problem. Appreciate you. I know you're a super busy guy. You got a lot of
We've been trying to get this, and I'll tell you, like,
yeah.
I've had other people ask me to come on, but I said when I do the next, because I haven't done one probably in a year and a half. I said I'm gonna do the podcast.
Thank
with
you,
Nick.
bro.
So like straight up, bro. I'm being honest with you. Yeah. Like I know we've been in conversation about it for a while, and I just said when I do it, I will come on Spark.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bro.
So appreciate you.
Appreciate that. Yeah. We're gonna put the ball. We're gonna put the shirt,
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
hat
for
up
sure,
in the
for
corner
sure,
there,
man.
in the little arcade
That's
games we
awesome.
were playing.
That's
so
awesome.
appreciate
That's
it,
awesome.
bro.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to What Would It Cost. It was an absolute pleasure sitting down with Mark, and I'm sure you guys have taken a lot of good from this, as this gentleman's got it figured out. So if you don't, then that's on you. But yeah, and again, as always, big thank you to the sponsors, Dominic from 2911 for the swag. He's got the coolest stuff in the world at his shop there in King City. And to Valamo Water. These guys got an awesome product. It's alkaline, and really got to be mindful of what you're putting in your body these days, and they have it figured out too. So yeah, shout out Valamo.